Hey there everyone. This week's video, as I mentioned last week, is just going to be a quick, I guess you could say a quick summary or a quick, I don't know, I'll just really quickly show a bunch of photos which I took last month, the month of June, and for the most part, I'll be doing this every single month, and so the last week of every month it's gonna be kind of like a break week for me because it's gonna be a rather low effort video and it's gonna give me some time, I guess, for myself. Yeah, I don't actually know if this will be quick because I have quite a few photos to show, but yeah, I'm doing this mostly because number one, I want to give myself a bit of a break, and number two, I'm quite busy this week because I'm working on a cover for the Elvis fans Discord cover competition. Yeah, it's a thing to celebrate the release of the new Elvis movie. Pretty decent movie, I would say. Definitely was a little bit inaccurate in some parts, but I understand that they had to, condense a bunch of stuff and mix some stuff up to fit the time limit, or well, I don't know, studio things, right? So I guess first off, I'll just show some photos which I took on film. So just in order, I'll be doing this. So now, let me just grab my SSD here just to look at, my records and the exact date. So this first one, this was on Fomapan 200, and I shot this one from June 9 to 11, 2022. And really there's nothing remarkable on this roll. Just a bunch of photos because on I believe it was June 10 or maybe June 9, I watched Top Gun Maverick. Regarding that movie, if I'm being completely honest, I did not like it. I mean, like, it's perfectly entertaining, definitely, but they kind of retconned the love interest, because she was never in the previous movie, and it was kind of predictable, especially near the end. I'm not one of those people who had nostalgia for the original Top Gun because I only saw it the day before I watched Top Gun Maverick, and even the original, I wasn't impressed. If you want to have fun, then go watch that movie. It's just a movie for you to have fun, turn off your brain, just enjoy watching people fly planes. So yeah, just a bunch of random photos here. I'm gonna show some stuff here which I shot on like the street. There's this one here with like looking through a window of another car that was passing, and there's just this guy who was doing something in the middle. I never intended to shoot him, but I don't know what he's doing, but he's doing something. Yeah, I'm just really quickly going through these stuff on the street because I don't really want to dox myself because these were around the area, like my area. Yeah, and in the at the end here, these were the final photos on the roll. Really, it's just a bunch of random stuff, which I just did because I was already near the end of the roll and I just wanted to get everything over with. I mean, surely I could have just rewound it right away, but at the end of the day, it's still, it's still 8 frames, still 8 frames. So I just took a bunch of photos with the lights around the house, and I guess you could say they're like I don't know, abstract shots or something. And in the last ones, I didn't even bother to take away the dust and whatnot. I kind of gave up because, you know, they weren't very high effort at the end of the day. But, you know, I guess you could say they are kind of abstract. You know, they have that kind of feel to them. But I don't know. I don't know. And the other role which I shot this week, or this month rather, last month, was let's see here. What was it again? Right, Ilford XP2 Super. I shot this one from June 15 to 16 on my Pentax ME Super. Did I mention earlier that I shot the Fomapan on my Olympus Pen EE2? I don't know. June 15 to 16, and these were a bunch of trichromes, so I won't be showing that much. I'll only be showing the bits which were like, you know, the bits which were still black and white, which I did not trichrome because that was just one photograph out of all of them. Because, you know, as you know, a trichrome is three images: a red one, the red filter, with one with a green filter and one with a blue filter, and you just stack them on top of each other in something like Photoshop to make a color image. So these were all taken with, actually no. The first two which I'm showing here, the first two were taken with the red filter, while the last one was with the green filter. Yeah, I won't be showing that much from there. And this final one, Burger Pancro 200, which I shot from June 12 to 13, 2022. I almost skipped over this one. I completely forgot I shot this roll. But I shot this roll this month rather. But this was the first time I tried making trichromes ever, and the problem was that I messed up development. And so all of the photos came out extremely grainy. There was very bad fogging, and there were also some like chemical stains, as you can see in some of these which I'm showing here. But I guess the photos have some kind of like, I don't know, lo-fi look to them or something. And especially on the last bit of the roll, because I also messed up like putting the film in the Patterson reel, because I have two reels in my, you know, 2-reel tank, and one of them has some kind of fault where it doesn't let you wind the reel all the way. So there's like 5 shots which are left hanging. So I only use those for shorter rolls, like 27 exposure rolls or something, or 24. But yeah, so this was a 36 exposure roll, and I even got to shot number 39. So yeah, there was quite a bit of film hanging out, and so those ones, as you can see here with the dogs, those ones had some stains on them. I don't know, I guess you could say it has some kind of artsy lo-fi look or something, but I'm not one to say something like that. But whatever. Yeah, you can see here in this photo of the cassettes with the red filter, because I made a trichrome of this. You can see that the CHF, it's normally very red, a very vibrant red, but here it's white because of course it brings in a lot of red light, whereas the other cassettes here, the BHF which is green and the AHF which is blue, they are very dark because they don't have that much red light on them, you know, on that wavelength. But yeah, that's about it for the film which I shot this month. Now I also shot 3 rolls of Fomapan Retro Edition, 100, 200, and 400, which I'll be making a video on sometime this month, but I have not had time to develop them, so they're just sitting here for now. Probably like 3rd week of the month I'll be able to make a video on them. Next week the video will be about trichromes. Yeah, the trichromes which I took on Ilford XP2 Super. which I cross-processed, by the way, in black and white chemistry, specifically Ilfosol 3 1+9 dilution. So that's about it for the digital, rather for the film photos. Now on to the digital ones. So the first one here, this was on June 19, 2022, around 12 a.m. Well, yeah. One of them was from 11:44 p.m., but the rest were past 12, the ones that look good. Just a bunch of photos of the moon taken with my telephoto lens. It's not a very long lens, and so the moon is quite small in the frame. In the future, I really want to get something like a 500 or 600 millimeter lens, just to get like a really close-up shot of the moon. And on this particular day, I forgot what I was doing, but I know I was watching the chess.com stream of the FIDE candidates tournament on that day, and I was doing something. I forgot what it was, but I looked out the window and then I saw the moon. It was very big compared to normal, compared to what it usually was, you know. And around this time, the moon doesn't really reveal itself in the sky, like just in my area. And so, you know, I just dropped everything that I was doing, got the camera, got the tripod, and I took some photos. And it seems I kind of messed up here because I accidentally left the image stabilization on my lens, and so these shots seemed rather soft compared to if the IS is turned off. They would be definitely much sharper than this. Plus, look at those chromatic aberrations on like the craters and whatnot. Yeah, I should really get a new lens soon, but for now, that's about it. Second here, let's take a look. Hold on a second. Yeah, June 22, 2022. This was a bird. Now, on this day, I took two sets of images. The first was a bunch of birds. I tried taking some on film, on Fomapan 400, I believe, but no birds were really able to land on the location where they usually land. Like, they usually land on the roof of our neighbor's house, and I can see that, like, I'm right beside. There's a place in our house where there's like a porch and you can see it directly, like you're right in front of the roof of the neighbor's house, and so you're very close to the birds. Yeah, I tried taking some photos of that on film on my 210mm lens, but it was already quite dark and no birds were going there, so I gave up on film. I went to digital because I got to crank up the ISO. So I shot this one on 1600 ISO, and this was the only decent photo on the roll, on the set which I took on that day, because all of the rest, which I exposed for the birds, because in this one I exposed for the sky. Now, in those which I exposed for the birds, there was horrendous digital noise on all of the birds. You can see here around the bird, if you zoom in a bit, if I zoom in a bit here, you can see here that there is a lot of noise around the bird, and I intentionally brought the shadows up so that the bird itself and the roof don't have that much noise on them. It's just black, and the rest of the sky is the only one with, you know, with the noise. But it's not super. It's not. Come on, you can speak now, can't you? It's not super noticeable if it's just on the sky, but on the birds, when I exposed for the birds, it was not very good. Yeah. Next one here, next set, which I took on the same day, June 22. It was a bunch of lightning. Now you can see these two images here. Those were the only good images from the set. That's it. Because it was about to rain, that's why the sky got so dark so early. This was I've already forgotten the time. Let me check. It was around 6 p.m. and usually there is still quite a bit of light, but you know, at this time there was a storm coming in, and so there wasn't that much light, but there was lightning. And this was my very first time shooting lightning with the camera. Now, the way how you shoot lightning is not like the conventional way. It's not what you may think, because normally you'd probably assume that you just wait for the lightning to appear, then when it appears you press the shutter button. But that's not feasible at all. The best way to do it is you leave the camera there on a tripod, and then you let it do a series of continuous long exposures. So what I did for these two, I forgot the exact exposure, but I believe the shutter speed which I set was something like I believe it was 30 seconds or 10 seconds, one of the two. That's what I set the shutter speed to. And then I left it there for a while, and if there was lightning that went across the frame, then it was captured, of course, on the camera. If there was no lightning, then it's fine, there's another exposure which you can make. That's why the clouds here in these two images, that's why the clouds are so blurry, because they're actually moving through the sky, while in the 10 or 30 seconds in which I took these images. Now, this was taken with my telephoto lens, the 55 to 250 millimeter Canon EFS f4 to 5.6 lens, and this was at 250 millimeters. And I realized while taking these images, I realized that there was a lot of lightning going on outside of the frame, and if I zoomed out even to 55 millimeters, the minimum, it still wasn't able to capture that frame, like the full area on the frame, because I noticed that there was quite a lot of action going on elsewhere, which was really, really big, so I needed some kind of wide lens. So I just got the kit lens of my Canon EOS 3000D, the 18 to 55 millimeter EFS f3.5 to 5.6, and I did that. And at this point, the sky already got very, very dark, in the sense that it was really near impossible to shoot this for, to shoot this properly, I guess you could say that. So what I did was I set the aperture to around 5.6, I believe, and that was probably the worst decision that I made on that day, because effectively it made the sky extremely soft, because obviously to take pictures of clouds you have to stop down your aperture, so that, because the clouds are very big and they're very spaced out. Like, they may seem like just one layer to you, but they are in fact very far apart. It's kind of like when you look at stars, they may look like they're together, but they're millions of miles apart. But anyway, yeah. So all of these images came out super soft. Like, you can see the lightning, you can somehow make it out, but you can't really, you can't really do much with it because it's so soft. So I intentionally underexposed so that the images here were especially dark, so that it's kind of accentuated. It kind of accentuates the lightning strikes, in the sense that, dynamic range and whatnot, dark to light. And so these images here, they actually came out kind of decent, like the last ones here, which I intentionally horribly underexposed. And yeah, some of them actually ended up being overexposed even because the lightning was so strong. But yeah, those were the images of lightning which I tried taking for the very first time. Now the final ones here for digital are I actually took them today on the day of recording. I'm currently recording this on Thursday, June 30, and I took these like around 2 or 3 hours ago before recording this. And yeah, it's just a bird, because I saw there was a bird that was standing on the neighbor's roof. Yeah, it was just standing there for a very long time, so I decided, you know what, I'll just grab the camera, take a few photos, and yeah. And this time I was actually able to set it to 100 ISO, and so the bird actually looks decent with barely any noise on it. Although with the lens, with the properties of my lens, there is quite a bit of chromatic aberration. Like you can clearly see it, for example, on the legs of the bird or on the wings. But well, it's not super noticeable from afar, so not too bad. And in these first few shots, you can see that I kind of underexposed them, then I just tried to fix it in post, because the lighting in the back, it kind of looks like, I don't know how to describe it, but the lighting in the back, it looks unnatural, I guess you could say that, because I accidentally underexposed it, because I forgot to turn on the exposure compensation. So in the original photos, the birds look super dark. I had to fix that in Photoshop. Now here, another bird joined in, but not for long. This shot I cropped into a square because when it was like in the, usual aspect ratio, well, in my opinion, it just didn't look that nice, when it was in the normal aspect ratio. So I cropped it to square, and it looks much more decent, I think. And this bird, it did not stay for long. It was just there for like a few minutes, maybe 5 minutes. And the shots after that, I realized that I had to fix that exposure compensation, and they look much nicer. For example, this one is a wider shot of the bird, overlooking the rest of the place. And after that, I thought, okay, I'm done. That's good enough, decent photos. And then I saw the bird change location, so sorry about the dog. I saw the bird change locations, and I realized, it's probably a bit more interesting, because this part on the left side of our neighbor's roof is broken. And so with the broken roof, it provides, I guess you could say it's, I don't know, it makes it a bit more interesting, a bit less bland. And the bird was just very calm. It was sitting down there, just minding its own business. So I just let it do that, I guess. And this photo, when it was sitting down, it's actually quite sharp, I think. At least from afar, if you look at it from afar. Because here, by the way, mind you, I was taking all of these photos handheld, and most of them, including this one, were at 250 millimeters. And so, yeah, it's pretty difficult. I had to keep the shutter speed super fast, and so I made the aperture just 5.6. And so in the previous photos, the bird wasn't as sharp, compared to these ones, because in these ones I made it f8 because, well, I decided to lean on the porch and provide myself with a little bit more stability. And then when the bird stood up, I realized, okay, I have to just stay alert because it's about to fly away. And when it flew away, the photo I took was, well, not very appealing. because it flew away behind the roof, whereas I was expecting it to fly away more or less like across. And if it had flown across the roof, it probably would have looked a little bit nicer. But in this one, you can see here, he's just kind of like falling off, and I don't know, it looks it looks a little bit weird in my opinion. Not super nice, but well, that's about it. And yeah, thank you for looking at the photos with me and listening to this, albeit after listening to myself, very boring commentary. But yeah, this is something I will be doing every month. Now, I know not a lot of people care about my photos. I know they're not very good photos. I'm still relatively an amateur. Like, I started taking photos in 2019 with a DSLR. That was the first time I held one in my hands. Well, it's the first time I held a camera in my hand that wasn't my phone. And yeah, it was only around the pandemic when I really got into photography. Like 2021, that was the year when I really got into photography. And that's when I started like actually improving, like working on improving my skills. And then just this year I got into film and all of this stuff. Yeah, it's really fun. And that's the end of the first episode of this series, I guess. And yeah, thanks for watching. Thanks for watching all of this. And I hope you like the photos. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And I'll get back to what I'm doing, I guess. And you should too. If you're gonna watch a different video, I recommend checking my other ones. Yeah. And I hope all of you have a wonderful morning, afternoon, or evening wherever you are. I'm very thirsty. I'm gonna drink some water later. And I'll see you all in the next video. Goodbye.